All right, so today we're going to deep dive into how businesses are using this ChatGPT thing.
Okay.
You sent over a couple things for us to look at. One from Asambhav Solutions.
Yeah, they do a lot of AI stuff.
Yeah, they do. Looks like they build AI solutions. And then you also sent over some notes that you took um, from like another article or blog or something.
Right. Yeah, it was similar to the one from Asambhav.
Yeah, there's some overlap for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So that always helps to see the same idea from a couple different angles.
For sure.
So the goal today is for you to walk away with a really good understanding of how ChatGPT is being used by businesses,
Okay.
the potential and the pitfalls,
Should get it.
so that you can impress your friends or your boss
You're right.
with your knowledge of this buzzy technology.
Uh-huh. Exactly.
So both sources start out by saying that businesses really need to stay on top of these trends
Mm.
if they want to be competitive and survive. And they frame ChatGPT as one of those tools that can really change the game.
I think that's smart because they're speaking to a business leader's main concern,
Yeah.
which is survival and growth.
Totally, yeah. And the first source goes on to talk about this idea of smart prompts, which I know you have some experience with.
Yeah, I've been playing around with it a little bit.
Yeah, so can you just give a quick overview of what a smart prompt is and why it matters?
So a smart prompt is basically how you're communicating with ChatGPT
Okay.
to get the results that you need.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like giving instructions to a very literal-minded assistant. You
Hmm.
have to be very specific and provide a lot of context so that it understands what you're asking for.
Gotcha. So it's all about being really specific in your notes. You even mentioned an example
Oh, yeah.
where you were trying to get it to write a screenplay, but it kept getting hung up
Right, yeah.
on some detail.
Yeah.
What happened there?
So I was trying to have it write a scene where a character was supposed to be disguised as a street performer,
Okay.
but I wasn't clear enough about what type of performer, and it kept making him a mime.
Oh, no.
And I tried to rephrase it, and it just couldn't get past the mime thing.
That's hilarious.
It was pretty funny.
So how did you finally get it to work?
I had to be very specific. I said, he's disguised as a musician playing guitar and singing folk songs?
Okay.
And then it finally clicked.
Well, that's a great example of how just small changes in wording can make a big difference.
Yeah, definitely.
And both of our sources seem to agree on some key tips for crafting these smart prompts.
Mm-hmm.
They both say to be specific, give context, and refine your prompts over time.
Exactly, because the quality of the output depends entirely on the quality of the input.
Yeah, so it's like anything else, practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
Now let's get to the good stuff. How are businesses actually using this thing?
Right.
Both sources provide like a top 10 ways list, but I have a feeling you might have some favorites.
I do.
What really jumps out at you?
I think the range of applications is pretty incredible. It can be used for everything from automating customer support to generating marketing content,
Okay.
streamlining HR processes,
Wow.
even writing code.
Let's take a closer look at a couple of those.
Okay.
One that seems really interesting to me is customer support automation.
Yeah.
Can you break that down a little bit?
Sure. So imagine you're on a website and you have a question about a product.
Okay.
Instead of waiting on hold for like an hour,
Yeah.
you get a chatbot that's powered by ChatGPT.
Okay.
It can answer your basic questions, guide you through some troubleshooting steps,
Wow.
and even escalate you to a human agent if needed.
That sounds amazing. No more frustrating hold music.
Exactly.
You mentioned generating marketing content too. The
Yeah.
possibilities there seem endless.
They really are. Businesses are using it to write everything from catchy slogans and social media posts to product descriptions and even entire blog articles.
So it's not just about automating tasks. It's also about boosting creativity and amplifying the reach of their marketing campaigns.
Exactly. It can help businesses create more content more quickly and tailor it to different audiences.
So are copywriters nervous?
I think that's a valid concern.
Yeah.
The rise of AI is definitely changing the landscape of work,
Right.
but it's important to remember that AI is a tool.
Yeah.
And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad.
Mm.
It's up to us to make sure that it's developed and used responsibly and ethically.
I love how you always bring it back to ethics.
Right.
It's such an important part of this conversation.
Absolutely. We
Okay.
can't just embrace technology without thinking about the potential consequences.
Okay, so we've covered some exciting applications,
Mm-hmm.
but let's not forget that ChatGPT has its limitations too.
Right.
Both sources are very careful to point those out.
Yeah, it's important to be realistic about what it can and cannot do.
What are some of the key limitations that we need to be aware of?
One of the big ones is that ChatGPT is only as good as the data it's trained on.
Okay.
So if it's trained on biased data,
Right.
It's going to produce biased output.
So garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly. That's why it's so important to carefully select the data that's used to train these models and to constantly monitor the output for any signs of bias.
Another limitation that they mentioned is that it can struggle to keep up with real-time information.
That's right, because its knowledge is based on the data it was trained on,
Right.
which has a cutoff point.
Gotcha.
So it may not be aware of the latest news or trends.
So it's not going to be able to tell me who won last night's game or
Right.
what the stock market is doing right now.
Probably not reliably, no.
Okay.
It's important to keep that in mind when you're using it for tasks that need really up-to-date information.
So it's not a replacement for human expertise.
Definitely not.
Or judgment.
It's a powerful tool, but it needs to be used thoughtfully in conjunction with human intelligence.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground here in this first part.
Yeah, we have.
Let's take a quick break and come back to explore some specific examples
Okay.
of how businesses are using ChatGPT to solve real-world problems.
Sounds good. It's crazy how many ways ChatGPT can be used.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's only limited by our imagination at this point.
Absolutely. And that's what I love about this deep dive.
Mhm.
It's not just about understanding the technology.
Right.
It's about exploring the possibilities.
Yeah.
And speaking of possibilities, you mentioned in your notes that you were really interested in
Oh, yeah.
how ChatGPT is being used for market research.
Uh-huh.
I'm curious to hear your take on that.
So traditionally, market research has involved things like surveys and focus groups and all this data crunching. ChatGPT can actually help to streamline a lot of that.
Okay.
Imagine being able to instantly analyze thousands of customer reviews or social media posts to identify trends, understand customer sentiment, even predict future demand.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
It's like having a super-powered marketing analyst at your disposal.
exactly.
So it's not just about saving time and money.
Right.
It's about gaining a competitive edge by making smarter.
Data-driven decisions. Exactly. And that's what makes ChatGPT so compelling for businesses.
Yeah.
It's not just a novelty. It's a tool that can fundamentally change how businesses operate and compete.
The article you shared from Asambhav Solutions mentioned a case study
Oh, yeah.
where a company used ChatGPT to analyze customer feedback on a new product prototype.
Right.
It said that the AI was able to identify some key design flaws that the human team had totally missed.
That's a great example of how AI can augment human intelligence.
Yeah.
It's not about replacing human designers or researchers.
Right.
It's about giving them a powerful tool that can help them see things they might otherwise overlook.
It's like having a second pair of eyes, but with the ability to process information
Yeah.
at a scale and speed that humans just can't match.
Exactly. And that's what makes this technology so exciting.
Yeah.
It's opening up whole new avenues for innovation and problem solving.
Speaking of problem solving, another application that caught my eye was brainstorming. I can see how ChatGPT could be a total game changer
For sure.
for creative teams.
Imagine having a brainstorming session where you can bounce ideas off an AI that has access to a vast database of knowledge and can generate creative suggestions on demand.
So it's like having a superpowered brainstorming partner that never
Yeah.
gets tired.
Exactly. And never runs out of ideas.
You mentioned in your notes that you'd actually used ChatGPT for brainstorming yourself.
I did. Yeah.
What was that experience like?
It was surprisingly fun.
Okay.
I was working on a presentation about the future of work,
Okay.
and I was kind of stuck. So I decided to give ChatGPT a try.
Yep.
I gave it some basic prompts about the topic, and it started generating some really interesting ideas and perspectives that I hadn't even considered.
So it didn't just give you like a list of generic bullet points.
Right.
It actually helped you to think outside the box
Yeah.
and come up with fresh, original ideas.
Yeah. And of course, I still had to do the work of evaluating those ideas, refining them,
Yeah.
and weaving them into a coherent narrative.
Of course.
But ChatGPT definitely helped me to break through that initial creative block
Yeah.
and get the juices flowing.
It sounds like it's a great tool for sparking creativity
Yeah.
and generating those aha moments
Mm-hmm.
that can lead to breakthrough innovations.
Exactly. And that's what makes this technology so powerful. It's not just about automating tasks or making things faster.
Right.
It's about expanding the boundaries of what's possible.
Okay, so we've covered some of the more exciting applications.
Yeah.
But let's get back to those limitations we discussed earlier.
Okay.
How do those limitations play out in these real-world scenarios?
Right.
For example, what happens if a business is using ChatGPT for market research?
Yeah.
but the data it's trained on is outdated or incomplete.
That's a really good question. And it highlights the importance of understanding the limitations of AI and using it responsibly.
Yep.
In that scenario, the business could end up with inaccurate insights,
Right.
which could lead to bad decisions.
Yeah.
So it's crucial to always validate the output of any AI system
Okay.
and use it as a tool to inform human judgment, not replace it.
So it's all about using AI as a partner, not an oracle.
Exactly.
We need to approach AI with a healthy dose of skepticism and critical thinking.
Yeah.
We can't just blindly accept what it tells us.
Right.
We need to ask the right questions,
Yeah.
challenge its assumptions,
Uh-huh.
and be aware of its limitations.
That's a great point.
And brings us to another important consideration, the ethical implications of using AI.
For sure.
Both sources touch on this,
Right.
but they don't go into a ton of detail.
Right.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this.
Well, as with any powerful technology, there's always the potential for misuse.
Of course.
And that's why it's so important to have open and honest conversations about the ethical implications of AI and to develop guidelines and regulations that ensure its responsible development and deployment.
Absolutely. We need to be thinking about these issues now
Yeah.
before AI becomes so deeply integrated into our lives
Right.
that it's too late to course correct.
Exactly. We need to be proactive, not reactive.
Yeah.
We need to be shaping the future of AI, not letting it shape us.
Well said.
Kim.
And that leads us to a big question that you posed in your notes.
Oh, yeah.
If almost half of companies worldwide are already using AI like ChatGPT, what does that mean for the future of work?
Right.
Is this the beginning of a mass unemployment crisis, or is it something else entirely?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's no easy answer.
Right.
But I think it's important to remember that throughout history, technological advancements have always disrupted the workforce, but they've also created new opportunities.
Okay.
The key is to be adaptable,
Yeah.
to embrace lifelong learning, and to focus on developing skills that are uniquely human and difficult to automate.
So it's not about fearing the future, but about preparing for it.
Exactly. We need to be thinking about how we can leverage the power of AI
Yeah.
to augment human capabilities,
Right.
not replace them.
Okay.
We need to be focusing on creating a future where humans and AI work together to solve the world's biggest challenges and create a better future for everyone.
That's a powerful vision.
Yeah,
And I think it's one we can all get behind.
I hope so.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground in this second part of our deep dive.
We have.
Let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned so far,
Okay.
and then jump into some specific examples
Right.
of how businesses are using ChatGPT in innovative and unexpected ways.
Feels good.
All right, so we're back and ready to wrap up this deep dive into ChatGPT for business.
Okay.
We've talked about the potential, the limitations, the big picture impacts on the workforce. Now let's look at some real world examples of how businesses are actually putting this technology into action.
This is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
We can move beyond the theoretical and see how ChatGPT is being used to solve real problems and create real value.
You mentioned in your notes an example about a company using ChatGPT to personalize their marketing efforts.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me more about that.
So imagine you're a customer and you get an email from a company.
Okay.
But instead of the usual generic blast, this email feels like it was written just for you.
Okay.
It mentions your past purchases, recommends products you might actually be interested in,
Okay.
even addresses you by name.
Wow.
That's the power of ChatGPT for personalized marketing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It takes targeted advertising to a whole new level.
Right.
It feels less like spam and more like a helpful suggestion from a friend.
Exactly. And that kind of personalization can have a huge impact on customer engagement and conversion rates.
Yeah.
It's not a one-size-fits-all approach anymore. It's about creating a unique experience for each customer.
You also highlighted a case study about a company using ChatGPT to improve their customer support.
Yeah, they were struggling with long wait times
Okay.
and frustrated customers.
Right.
They decided to implement a ChatGPT-powered chatbot
Okay.
that could handle basic inquiries, provide troubleshooting help,
Right.
and even escalate issues to a human agent if needed.
It's like that example we talked about before where ChatGPT could help people troubleshoot their internet connection
Exactly.
without having to wait on hold forever.
It's all about making the customer experience smoother, faster, more efficient.
Yeah.
And the results were really impressive.
Yeah,
They saw a big reduction in wait times,
wow.
fewer customer complaints, and overall customer satisfaction went up.
That's a great example of how ChatGPT can not only save businesses money, but also make their customers happier.
For sure.
In your notes, you mentioned that you were really impressed by a company using ChatGPT in a super innovative way for product development. I'm dying to hear about this one.
So this company makes kitchen appliances, and they were looking for a better way to get feedback on new product ideas earlier in the design process.
Okay.
They started using ChatGPT to create virtual prototypes of their products.
Wow.
And then they used those prototypes to gather feedback from potential customers.
And so instead of building expensive physical prototypes, they're using ChatGPT to create virtual ones that they can test and iterate on more quickly and cheaply.
It's a total game changer for product development.
Yeah, it sounds like ChatGPT is not just a tool for improving existing processes. It's a catalyst for innovation and creativity.
I completely agree. It's pushing the boundaries of what's possible and encouraging businesses to think differently about how they operate and create value.
So what does all this mean for the average business leader who's trying to figure out how to use ChatGPT?
Yeah.
What are the key takeaways from our deep dive?
I think the most important takeaway is that ChatGPT is not just hype.
Okay.
It's a powerful tool with real-world applications that can help businesses grow and become more efficient.
Okay.
But it's really important to approach it strategically.
Yeah.
Understand its limitations and use it thoughtfully.
So it's not a magic bullet,
Right.
but it's definitely a tool worth exploring.
For sure.
It's about understanding how ChatGPT can best fit into your specific business.
Yeah.
And then experimenting, iterating, and learning as you go.
Exactly.
And who knows, maybe ChatGPT will help you come up with your next big breakthrough innovation.
The possibilities are endless.
Well, I think we've officially reached the bottom of this deep dive. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey.
It's been my pleasure.
And a special thanks to you for sharing the materials that sparked this fascinating conversation.
Of course.
We hope you've learned some valuable insights and are feeling inspired to explore the world of ChatGPT for yourself.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks.